Right. Well, let's crack into it, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we finally welcome Mr. Walker to the Grasses.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I'm glad to have you. I'm really glad to have you. We were just talking about before how it sometimes takes something like this to sit down and actually have a chat that's longer than like, hey man, how you doing? It's good.
Yeah, you're doing good. Yeah. Want to grab a drink, and then the music starts, and then we just, and then we lose ourselves in the night, and then before we know it, that's it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you reaching out to me to be on the podcast, man. I really like it's awesome to finally get this time with you, and there's been so many moments in our life that I feel like we've wanted to hang out, and have really constructive conversation, and you've been, it's funny because you're like one of those people that I feel like you're in my life a lot, but we just don't get that time, and I think it's also the age we're at, and I have 2 young kids, and COVID didn't help much,
I know. So I know you come up so often in conversations when I'm talking to people, especially within the world of the, the movies we make and stuff. And on social media, your name comes up so often inside, like fans are like, if you ever see Andrew Walker, can you ask him like people, it's so funny. It's like, yeah, let me call him up and ask him like, tell him that you like his shorts or his muscly.
Well, you should, you can, and you should.
Yeah. Well,
knock off those questions immediately.
Yeah,
I have answers to those questions immediately.
Oh yeah, Andrew, I have them saved for us to go over later. I got some good fan questions for you. But what I think the fans really love is hearing about the beginning, like where you started, where you're born, like what makes Andrew, and then that sort of transitions into like how did you get into this business? So tell me, let's start with like where you are from and like your family. And I know you're Canadian, you're from Montreal. Stefan Pumping you actually said, do you know Stefan?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
He says you better watch out, or you better behave, or he's going to share Zellers pictures in your underwear that you guys have together.
Ooh, yeah, that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good. Yeah, I'll behave, Stefan. Thank you very much for that threat, buddy.
So you modeled as well then back at the beginning. I mean, it's hard to believe, but
it is hard. I mean, I don't know. It was just more of a charity thing, that people was more sympathy. I just wanted to kind of, make me feel good about myself in a weak moment. And no. But yeah, Stefan and I, he has 2 brothers, and it was the 4 of us and his 2 brothers that we'd do these like Zellers campaigns and stuff like that. And but so to answer your question, so basically I started acting. I was in elementary school, 12 years old. And my mom got a call from my lunchtime drama program teacher. And she was like, hey, your son seems to be taking to this. I'm starting an agency. Can I put him in the agency and just get him out there? And my mom was like, absolutely, would love it. My dad, bless him, he's 100% sports guy. And at that time, I started playing football, and I was kind of excelling at football and soccer, and I was at the pool all the time. And my dad's like, no, we're not putting him in that acting stuff. It's gonna divert his attention from sports. My uncle is an actor. He's been an actor and a trumpet player, jazz musician for 50 plus years. And my dad's seen what the struggles that he's gone through in the business. So I think also that there was a piece to that, and so my mom just kind of laid down the law, and and in her a moment that usually doesn't happen with her, because she has been a little as I said, bless my dad, she has been, and I guess it's just it's that generation. But my dad's in his early 80s, but he kind of he was old school, and he did definitely suppress her a little bit growing up. And so this moment she was like, no, he's going to do it, get him into the arts. And man, did I love it. And I took to it. My dad really did an about face. He just, a couple months into being in the agency and getting out for some auditions, he would leave work, pick me up at school, take me out of school, drive me downtown Montreal, which was like a 30-minute drive from where we lived. And my dad was a school principal. So, for him to leave school and then take me out of school to give me a shot at these auditions was a pretty big thing for him to do. And so he would take me downtown, and I booked my first project around 13 years old. And
what was it?
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
What is it? Is it a series or?
It was a series called Are You Afraid of the Dark that was on YTV back in the day. Do you remember that show? Are You Afraid of the Dark?
I grew up with 3 channels on a farm, like a French channel, and then a black. I honestly know. So it was a big show. Jay Baruchel was one of the leads on it. He was like one of the main campfire kids that would tell the stories and stuff. And then basically you start at the campfire with the series regulars, and then you go to the figmented kind of world. And it was kind of a thriller for kids, like this like spooky thriller TV series for kids. And it was really popular. It went on for about 9-10 years. And that was my first gig. And my dad was like, well. And what were you feeling like when you were doing that show? Because were you already, because you have football records that still hold, right? Did those football records happen before 13 or after?
Well, that was way after 13. That was during my like core football years when I was, between the ages of 16 to 19. 19 years old is when I got injured. But basically, just to like rewind really fast, I didn't like that. Honestly, I didn't like the my first job because I had to memorize the lines, and I just it lost the fluidity of just the creativity of just being, just doing whatever you want to do. There was homework, and wasn't good with homework. Right. I didn't want any homework, and I just wanted to go and create. So I didn't like it very much, but I liked the paycheck at the end, which was, I was like, wow, you can make some money in this. And so I continued to audition and balance my football and my sports, but it wasn't really, it was just fun. I didn't think I could have any kind of career with acting at all. Like there was no way that I would be taking this on as a career. And I was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. And I'm also a little competitive with I'm very competitive with myself and other people. And so I think what really kind of lit the fire under me a little bit too was once I started getting into the acting circuit in Montreal, and started seeing some of the guys that were working a lot more and booking some more of the gigs. I was like, okay, how do I get better at this? Mm-hmm. And so I put the work in a little bit more, and but football, to go back to football now, was really taking off for me, and the expectations from the coaches and my teammates, and I just loved football and really thought that was my in to university, to college, to American college. And so around 17, 18 years old, I started getting letters from the States, some interest in scholarships. And 18 years old, I had my best year of football. I got a bunch of offers that came through, and I picked Boston College to go play at Boston College. And it was in spring training, just before I was taking off to go to Boston College. I had to play one more semester at my CJEP. And for viewers that are watching, well, Canadians would know, but the entire province, it's like the US, basically. You go to grade 12 in high school, and then you go to university afterwards. But Quebec, the province of Quebec, is the only province. You have a question?
Yeah, you have a grade 13, right? You have an extra grade of school.
No, we end high school is grade 7 to 11, and then you go to CJEP for grade 12, 13, and then you go into university 1 year. You've already knocked out 1 year in university, so it's basically just like an intermediary to go into college, where they want you to. It's like almost like a middle school. So you're not in with the big kids just yet. You're leaving high school. You're kind of in, a junior college of sorts. Got it. And so I was at CJEP, And the CJET that I was playing football at was CJET football is the best football you can play in Canada. And a lot of the guys I was playing with got scholarships. And I had to play one more year to go to Boston College the following year. And I tore my ACL in spring camp coming back from an acting gig. And I was running on late to the field. And my coach, it was the final day of practices. And he's like, Walker, get the F on the field. And he's like, you're doing this, this acting crap, da-da-da. And he starts like giving it to me. And he's like, get on, you're going to do your 10 plays and you come to my office after. And I was the starting running back. And, there was 25 other running backs that were looking to make a spot on the team. So, it wasn't a great move on my part, but the first play in that scrimmage, I took the ball on a draw and I came around the corner and I planted my left leg and my knee just buckled, hit the ground. And that was basically my football career, just like up in flames. And I went through, rehab and everything. And during my rehab, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, where do I go from here? And the psychological, stress or just the setback and like the lack of confidence that you get from an injury like that. You can't just like jump back on the field after rehab 6 months later and just be the same person you were. And so, I ended up booking my biggest acting role 3 months after surgery. And I was still limping. And I basically I did the series. And then I went on to another series immediately thereafter.
What was that?
It was called Back to Sherwood.
Okay.
And it was a female. It was the lineage of Robin Hood. She was like the 10th generation girl who found this emerald or this like a locket, and she would like open up the locket. There was a magical stone in there, and then she would be taken back to Robin Hood days. And I played Prince Charming, Prince William, of where do they live in Robin Hood, in the Robin Hood story?
Sherwood Forest, right?
Yeah. I played William. I lived in Sherwood Forest. My father was the king, and he was so I did that for a season. Show got canceled, and then I went to another show. Was on that show for 2 years. Met a really, one of my coworkers, and I really got along. And he's like, dude, I'm thinking about going to LA when the show's done. You want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, why not? Why not? And so we bought a $500 car together and jumped in this. It was a Volkswagen Fox, this old like station wagon Fox. And I don't know if you remember that model. But it's like really boxy. The car, we videotaped him.
Who's the actor?
His name is Ryan Wilner.
Okay.
He's a stand-up comedian. Yep. And, great kind of time. It was trying time. It was a trying time for him. His father passed away from cancer. And that's really kind of what gave him the push to go to Los Angeles. And he's like, you know what? I want to pick up, I want to leave Montreal, just kind of, find if this is what I want to do in my life, acting. He was a stand-up comedian as well. But his dad had passed on the business. His dad had built this incredible framing business, this really reputable framing business in his basement. He was around 16 years old. And he gave it to Ryan and his brother to inherit. And Ryan's brother immediately jumped into the office, but Ryan jumped in a car with me. And Ryan basically gave me the confidence. They say you just need one person to believe in you, and at such a vulnerable age. And also I was so excited to just come to LA at 21 years old. I was like, LA, this is incredible. I felt like it really, like I had been here before. I felt like it made sense to me when I landed here. I was like, okay, this is like a lifestyle that I can get into. But Ryan and I, we would just play video games, and it was a really clean, like we weren't big drinkers. We weren't heavy, like, we didn't smoke a lot of marijuana or anything. We were just like, just clean video games and work. And we would just run scenes, run lines, laugh. And I would come to every single one of his auditions, and he'd come to every single one of my auditions. And we would just like wait in the car, or sometimes wait in the hallway, and we'd just run lines with each other. And I'd been in LA for 2 weeks. I tested 2 times. I flew to New York. I tested for As the World Turns, that old soap opera. I don't think it's on anymore. And when I didn't get As the World Turns, I came back to LA and I was like, you know what? That was my run in LA. I have like a little bit of a runway left of money. I'm going to stay another 2 weeks. We'll see what happens. But Ryan and I were having a great time. And another week later, I get an audition, and Ryan and I worked like crazy on the material, and ended up testing for it. Got it. It was called Maybe It's Me. It was on Friday nights. It was like the TGIF part of that lineup, with like Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And anyways, there was a few shows that aired on that Friday night. And the show lasted for a season. Fred Willard was my dad, which was incredible. And he was like, that experience to work with him was unreal.
Oh, wow.
And so just to have Ryan in my life during that time, I don't think I'd be in LA now if it wasn't for him kind of like, you know, helping me with my material and just keeping me loose and keeping me out of my head and just like making things more fun than anything, you know? So that's kind of how, you know, in a large nutshell, how.
Do you get crazy like flashbacks if you watch This Is Us? Because that exact thing happened to Justin Hartley. One of the fans actually asked if you get mistaken for Justin Hartley. Have you ever seen This Is Us?
I auditioned. Justin has been like, it was Justin and I on every single test all the time. Like Justin and I were always neck and neck.
Did they steal your story for This Is Us? Because he was a big football player, tore his ACL in the show, and then he became an actor, but his dream was always football. It's the exact story that you just shared with me.
I've never seen an episode of This Is Us.
I swear to you, it's amazing. Or is it just you like watching yourself on screen?
We have mutual friends too. Like we have people that know each other but it's funny because I get asked that a lot. And sometimes I'll even be out and people will be like, they'll double take and be like, Justin? Like, no, I'm not Justin. Right. I'm not Justin Hartley. Wow. But I gotta watch that. Who knows? I don't. Maybe one of the writers in the show knew my. Maybe I worked with one of the writers in the past, and maybe they.
It's exactly that story, and then it's like except for he got addicted to painkillers during the recovery time, which it doesn't seem like that happened to you.
Yeah, no, it didn't. That didn't happen to me. No.
And he lost his dad in a fire. So you should watch it though. It's a really fun, not Justin, obviously, just the character Kevin, but one of the fans wanted me to ask you about if you get mistaken for him. So what were you feeling like when you got to LA and like you tested twice in the first 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And then you went to New York and you came back and you were almost going to give up after 2 weeks. That doesn't sound like you.
I wasn't going to give up. It was a financial thing.
Oh, you're running out of cash. Got it.
Okay. Like, honestly, Paul, I feel like, this is all out on the table here because this is what these things are for. But people should know this. But so the show that I was on with Ryan in Montreal, I would leave set, and on my way back to my parents' place, I was like 19 years old.
Yeah.
I would stop at the Montreal casino and I would play blackjack.
Okay.
And I burned through pretty much my entire budget that I was going to come to LA with in a matter of 2 months.
Wow.
Like this.
Wow.
Like 40 grand. Like this at 19 years old. And I'm somebody who's like really good with my money usually. I'm a spender. I like spending, but I'm a little flagrant. But as I get older, obviously, I have responsibilities now. I have a family, I have 2 kids, I have mortgage, I have, but I do put my money into like risky things. Now leveraged with safer things. But I basically spent my entire budget that was going to make me very comfortable in LA for months, So I gave myself like a month or like 7 weeks. I knew I had 7 weeks basically of a runway to spend. And so it was not just me. I had a gambling problem, and
at 19, how did you get over it? Like, how did you, I mean, obviously the pain of not having any money in LA was probably some of leverage on yourself, but like, at 19, how long did it last and how did you quit it?
It lasted for 3 months, maybe 3-4 months. And I quit it by remembering the feeling of driving home the last 2 or 3 times when I had lost a large sum of money, and the feeling that I had driving home, and then going to bed that night, waking up the next morning, and I was just like I'm a loser. I can't believe what I've done. I basically am just burning this opportunity that I have to come to Los Angeles. And I had things lined up in LA. Like I had a manager, and I had a friend that I was going to do the drive with, and I was really looking forward to this drive. So, it was the best. It was the absolute best thing that ever could have happened to me at the age that it happened to me, because now if ever I get the opportunity to, like, I play stock, I'm in the stock market. I'm very like safe. I invest in like Apple and, Walmart, and, I do a few riskier things here and there, but it's seared into my brain, that feeling of being so helpless and losing, money and not that, and money. And I think, for me growing up, my dad was a really frugal guy. He knew that I went through this period, and he would always ask me, he's like, all right, so you won this, what'd you lose? And I was like, well, no, I won that, I won a good amount, whatever. He's like, you got to stop going there. But he never really, which is funny, he was very very adamant about putting my money into safe things, safe investments. And he helped me a lot when I was younger, making some money through acting, putting it in different savings accounts and stuff like that, and some mutual funds, whatever. But it was just, to go back to your question, it was just the feeling of helpless, that helpless feeling of losing money that I had earned. And I guess, it's one of those things that like easy come, easy go, but you forget that at that age, it was like acting just kind of came easy to me and work came easy to me. Yeah. And I think now when I look at how difficult it is to book a job as an actor, and how, how fortunate we are to just have one gig that lasts just a few episodes, like 6 episodes. If you can get on a run of like 6 episodes and just like figure out a way to last your year. And if you can have that 1 year and think, in like micro wins, or like, just like, okay. So it's just everything all encompassing. I think it was just the feeling and just knowing how difficult it is now to book a job. And I'll never, 41 years old now, and it ended at 19. So.
Yeah. So you haven't had to go back to playing blackjack. I remember we went to a casino in Vancouver, and I like playing poker. Like I love playing poker, but I'll very much limit myself to like a little bit of per diem, and I'll go there and play. But I had a little phase of online poker. And it was the same thing. I was like, I was up this much, but when I looked back, it was like, an online poker is very hackable. And so there was bots on there that I was like, why am I losing? But it was a phase. It wasn't very long. It was like a few months. But when I looked back on it too, I was like, whoa. But it's not that easy for some people to break addiction. Do you have anything that you could share, like for somebody that might be struggling with some kind of addiction? Like it sounds like it was just, you had the support of your dad and Ryan, and you had the leverage on yourself to survive in LA, or you might have went through all of it.
Yeah, I would say, it's a loaded question. I think that there's reasons why there's rehabilitation centers, and how there's so many different people that bring you through a rehabilitation process. There's the psychiatrist, the motivational person, and this is something I just know from, having friends and people that have gone to those centers. I think the biggest thing is you have to sit with yourself and really think about how whatever it is that you're doing makes you feel from a psychological or from a physical point of view. If you're abusing anything, will ultimately the after effect, if it's immediately after or during or, the next morning, you're going to feel something negative. And I think that, I'm in a place now in my life where I just want to feel positive feelings from both perspectives. I want, and I think that like we also have nowadays at our fingertips, we have, listening to your podcast, we have meditation apps, we have yoga studios, we have everything's online. YouTube, you want to YouTube something or YouTube somebody who can kind of like help you shift gears, plant a seed of change. There's so much access out there now at your fingertips that you need to make the choice to change and realize what it's doing to you, how it's making you feel. For me, it was depression. Like I would literally be depressed driving home. I have a short memory. I can get over things really quickly.
Oh, really?
But I wake up in the morning time and when you feel like something went on the day before, you're like, why am I upset? What's that feeling? What's that feeling in my gut? Oh yeah, because I did this yesterday, or I feel this way, and so for me, I just, I'd sit in that. I'd force myself to sit in that. And then I started breaking down like, okay, I spent this on that day, this on this day. And it was tough. It was tough for me to kind of go through all of that. And I think, for somebody who's struggling in another type of addiction, if it's, writing down in a journal or something, or how it's made you feel, or how much of whatever you've been taking or doing to your body, and just like taking a note of, and then saying to yourself, seeing it and going, for me, it was my finances. I was going, this is unsustainable. And also it's not making me feel good. So, so
I think that's a really great measurement, is like, just to get really present to what your habits, how they make you feel. Right. And it's like, it takes a certain amount of awareness to be at that place, I think, because sometimes when you're in the funk, you're just sort of in it. And, a lot of people want to be grateful or more positive, but it's one thing to say, just focus on what you're grateful for, or focus on all the good things. But for some, it's really challenging to go, like, there's so many things going wrong that they're focused on it. Or if you're in an addiction, it's like you're sort of swimming in it, and it's so great that you could step back, because had you run out of money, who knows if this Andrew Walker would be here making movies, meaning like that addiction could have cost you, this career, if you think about it.
But I look at it like this too. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, but yeah. If I didn't go through that and I had 4 months, 5 months, 6 months to be in LA and make something happen, then I probably wouldn't have put so much attention on my material, and also like really feel like there was no alternative to not booking. Like I had to book projects. And also, you being Canadian, I'm sure you have your story of like, mm-hmm. when you came to LA without your visa, with no green card. And, I was also really on the hunt to try to lock that up and get my visa sorted out. And so It wasn't only that I had a short runway of cash to kind of keep me afloat here, but also I wanted to be legal and be able to spend a prolonged amount of time here as well. So,
right. So that created the tension, and you were able to like really focus and get it done. That's that's true. But you just exactly pointed the proof that if you're able to look at the positive, like I tried to bring up like the what if, and you quickly that's how it looks like. That's how wired you are to shift to the positive. Like, would you say, like, have you always been this kind of positive of a person?
100%. Really? I'm like,
what about your ACL moment?
yeah, I was just like, okay, what's next? What am I going to do? What's like,
Wow.
What am I going to do next? And so I was just kind of, you know, keeping myself open to the next opportunity out there.
Right.
And I didn't think, like I mentioned before, I didn't think acting was a long-term solution or a long-term gig or a lifelong gig, but I knew that it was something that I could, in the interim, be excited about and say, okay, well, I'm going to turn my focus to auditioning now. I think that's also helped me with our business, with our juice business as well. Like I never would have I'm not a gambler necessarily anymore, but I love taking risks, and I don't think like it makes me feel alive in a way. Like having this juice business has been so challenging, and I hate using the word stressful, but like it definitely, I've woken up and I've had days where we don't know how we're going to get by the next day. And, you know, just thinking, you know, being present, being in the moment, and just knowing, because you know how fast things change in the acting business from one week to the next. Your whole life could change. You could have an audition tomorrow look at Justin Hart. We're talking about Justin Hartley. Yeah. Look at the run that he's had on This Is Us. Look at the run you've had on When Calls the Heart. Right. When Calls the Heart opened up this whole other world for you in a way where, you know, with the Hearties and your music, and it gave you the ability. And yeah, that's what happens. Like acting, the byproduct of that is also recognition and financial stability in a way. I don't want to say stability, but if you have a long enough run, you can kind of, you know, shift your, put some of your finances into different things and try to keep yourself a little more stable as life goes on. And, but really week to week, things change so much. So I think that, like, to go back to also addiction, people who are addicted to something, one shift, 1 week can lead to a completely different life the following week. And I think that's the exciting part about life, is that you always have the ability to change. And I think we're meant to change. We humans need to shift and to be uncomfortable. And, you know, it's good for us.
It really is. And so how did you get, I want to talk about your juice business and, you know, your wife and how that came to be, but just take us back to how, like, when you booked that second show, what is the sequence of events that led you to your first Hallmark movie, for example? Because a lot of the people watching this will be fans of yours from a lot of your other work, but there's a good amount here that'll be from Hallmark. I get asked a lot of questions about you too. Like, you've done over 20, is that right? Or close to that, something like that, right?
Hallmark. Yeah, I've done about, I think I'm at 20 or 21.
That's insane. And people want to know, like, did you audition first? Like, how did you go from, I know it's probably a big time jump, right? Because you're only 21, 22, 23. And then how long have you been on the Hallmark Channel? And like, how did that transition start?
So, well, it kind of goes hand in hand in a way, the question about the juice business and Hallmark. Because I was in LA from 21 until 24. Okay. I moved back to Montreal at 24 years old. I didn't work for about a year and a half and just wanted to get back to my roots, get back home. My friends were leaving university and stuff, coming back to Montreal. So I wanted to spend some time with them. That's when I met my wife, my now wife, Cassandra. I convinced her to move back out to LA with me about a year after we had been together. And so 25, 26, I moved back to LA. And at that time, I booked probably a role that I'm probably the most proud of, I'd say, in my career, which was with this actor named David Strathairn, who's in Nomadland now, but he got nominated for an Academy Award for Good Night and Good Luck. He played Edward R. Murrow, and he and I were in like a two-hander about a neo-Nazi skinhead who kills this Middle Eastern man, and he plays my Jewish attorney, who brings me through the trial process, and he becomes kind of like a father figure to me. But basically we butt heads. There's, he's Jewish. I'm a skinhead, and basically you never think that we're going to be able to work this out, and he ends up changing my whole perspective on things, on life. And
what's that called? So people can watch it. What's it called?
Yeah, it's called Steel Toes.
Okay. Is it a movie?
It's a movie. Like a super indie film.
Oh, indie
film. And so I shot that back in Montreal, actually. So we were back in LA and whatever, but I went back to Montreal to shoot that. Then I came back out to LA again. And it was only around a year or so later that my wife and I decided to start this juice business. And so we started the juice business. I said, I need to take some time off anyways. I finished this role. I did a couple back-to-back episodic things on like CSI Miami, CSI New York, Without a Trace, ER. And I felt like things were kind of like happening again a little bit. I was testing for some projects and whatnot. And so I said to Cassandra, I'm like, you know what, we have this opportunity to start the juice business. I'll take about 6 months off, and I'll get it off the ground, and then I'll get back to my acting. Around a year and a half in to us starting the juice business, I didn't get basically a call back at all for about a year and a half. I completely threw my career by the wayside. My acting career was like, I was riding kale back and forth from our shop, from our juicing kitchen. I was juicing all night long from midnight till about 6 a.m. Cassandra would tag me out. She'd be at the storefront, working at the storefront the entire day. She'd call me and say she was out of I need more cacao nibs. I need more of this. I need more, oranges or whatever it is she needed. And so I would just be on the run. And so it was at that time where I was so resentful of our business.
Right.
I'm like, I just want to get back to acting.
Yeah.
And I got a call from a manager. He's like, hey, Hallmark sent you an offer to work on this movie called Bride for Christmas. And I said, Hallmark, aren't they the greeting cards? I didn't even know they did any movies or TV shows or anything. And
what year was that?
That was probably it was around 9 years ago now. Okay. So yeah, whatever that was, 2000,
2012, 2013.
Yeah, 12. Something like that. And so I went up, I did the job.
Yeah. And it was just an offer. You didn't know what
it was. An offer.
Like, come do this movie.
It was an offer. And I was talking to the director, Gary Yates, who now I've worked with 6 times. And I said, so like, how did this even work out? How did this happen? There's a lot of other actors out there probably like willing and ready and that have a better name than I did at that time and or do. And he's like, man, I watched you in this skinhead movie with David Strathairn and you blew me away. He's like, and I said, I was a skinhead, Gary. Like you saw me as this character in Bride for Christmas from a skinhead movie that I did. Wow. And he's like, you know what, Andrew? I felt like you could do this, and I wanted a different take on the character. And he's like, I thought you were the right guy for the job. And so it was actually the skinhead movie that got me the Hallmark movie, and the Hallmark movie came at a time where I was just so over, just being at the beck and call of the juice business. And so, so it was an interesting turn of events, how that happened. And then I got a call a few months later. Bride for Christmas kind of did pretty well. And I got a call a few months later to do another one. And then it just kind of started snowballing from there. And honestly, I've said this to Michelle Vickery, as well. And at the time, Bill Abbott, but Hallmark was not just a job for me. It was actually, it allowed me it was staying power in my acting business, in acting. Like I don't think I would have carried on acting if it wasn't for Hallmark.
Okay.
and also I don't think our business would necessarily be around if it wasn't for Hallmark, because I would do my gig and then I would put a large chunk of my money back into the business to get us to the next level. So it really, it kind of came, it was twofold, and yeah, it's just unbelievable now, 20 movies later.
20 movies. And sometimes, like you said about Ryan and now with Gary, it only takes one person to like see something in you, right? Like I had a volleyball coach and he was the only one that didn't think that I was headed for prison. Like seriously, he was a vice principal and his name was Larry Ethier. He passed a couple years ago. And at his funeral, I said that I'm like, sometimes it only takes one. And and he saw something greater than all of my failure and all of my misbehaving. And he believed in me a way that actually allowed me to step up into like the bigger Paul, not the one that was like out trying to get attention or in some way. And, Bart Fisher is the executive at Hallmark that saw me in Bitten, where there's like nudity and stuff. At least in Canada, there is. In the US, there isn't nudity, and Bart saw my character too. And that's how I got my first Hallmark movie. And it, for me as well, it really shifted, my whole approach to my whole business too. And I've been able to have another business as a result of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
I'm glad you said sometimes it only takes one, because that's really special to me. And it's like, has there been anyone that you've been able to be that for, like that one where you saw something in someone?
That's a good question. I think employing all different types of people when we were, for our juice business was really, it was fun. And it was also just, I felt like, I learned a lot from these people that we hired as well. So I think that we definitely gave people a start in Los Angeles, people that moved in from different parts of the world even. And they, we've sponsored people's visas. Right. I think I would say one person in particular, I would say my niece. She's had a bit of a, alternative upbringing, and she has, my wife and I have been there for her, and as parent figures. Mm-hmm. And she lives in our unit back in Montreal now. So we have a unit in NDG, and so she's there going to school. But the thing is, we wouldn't necessarily have given her the support that we've given her. We would give her support, but we've gone above and beyond for her, because she delivers and she responds so well to it. And she's hardened herself, and she's, she wants to do better, do more. And I think that those are the people that I think, like, I have a very, I don't have a huge tolerance for people that, if I am that person to them or vice versa, if, I feel like it has to be reciprocated, and so, we've for sure done it. We've gone through probably about 150 people in the 8.5 years that we've been, so it's a quick turnover business with Little West as well. So, especially working at the juice shops, when we had 3 juice shops going, the amount of actors and people that would come through and then, get confident working behind a desk, making smoothies in an intense atmosphere like that as well. Hot yoga, people like filing out of a hot yoga studio, wanting their smoothies and having to be quick and whatnot. I think that those people, without me even saying that I was necessarily that for them, I think that just the platform of the place that they were working in, and the in the atmosphere, I think that kind of allowed a lot of people to get to the next level in their life and to the next, phase of their life in a way where they're like, okay, I feel confident enough. I'm talking to different people. We had a lot of really cool people come through too. We had a lot of actors and a lot of musicians and NBA players and hockey players for the Kings and stuff like that were going to this yoga studio and stuff. So, but I would say one person in particular would be my niece.
Yeah. I remember seeing you at the hot yoga place, next to where, did you invest in that business as well? Like weren't you involved with, bringing that Canadian yoga, what's it called?
Modo, Moksha.
Yeah. Weren't you involved in that? Weren't you invested in that somehow?
No, I invested in a restaurant called the Churchill. Okay. And the girls who were opening up the yoga studio they were frequenting the restaurant a lot. And I was also one of the first people to sign up for this hot yoga studio when they opened up. And so we just our relationship, just really blossomed from there. And the restaurant is what allowed us we made our juice in the bakery at the restaurant. So when the girls told us one day, they said, hey guys, my wife and I, they said, hey guys, we are taking over the space next door. There's a rug shop. We're expanding. Don't tell anybody, but we're super stoked. And we were just having a glass of wine with them one night. And then that night we went home, my wife, Cassandra, and I, we said, we're like, maybe this is an opportunity for us to open up some sort of health and wellness bar, of some sort. We didn't even know it was going to be juice or what. But we went back the next day and we thought about it that night. We're like, let's do juice. Let's do smoothies. Let's do soups and salads. Let's do it all in house. Let's make sandwiches, which was way too we're way overachieving, but the girls, they ended up agreeing to it. And that's how it all kind of came about.
I remember when they were putting that in there, and because I was doing yoga there quite a bit, and I remember and it's funny, like I only saw you once or twice, I think, in yoga, but it wasn't even like it was like you knew someone I knew. It wasn't like could you remember we met one time, I think, in the hot afterwards, we were all sweaty there, right? And on La Brea there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. And then we went to one in Vancouver as well together.
Yes, I remember that too. So is that how you stay so fit? Because like you are a lot, that's another fan question too, is like, what do you do for your fitness? Because you are like, is it just natural from your sports background, or are you pretty committed to, obviously you're committed to your fitness, but is there something that you do that you just love doing for your fitness and your nutrition?
I feel like I'm always just barely holding it together, but I appreciate fans saying that.
Well, no, you lift up your arm and you've got this big vein on your arm. So you don't sit around playing video games anymore like you did with Brian. Like maybe it's just picking up your kids. Maybe it's
exactly. It's just the kid. Well, now it's just it's perfect. It's like 1.5 years old and he's like 45 pounds. So I'm just picking him up with one arm, picking him up with the other arm. But no, I'm super committed now for sure. I'm so committed to mind and body health and alignment, and just, I wake up, I found a rhythm in my life now where I wake up around 5:30 in the morning. I go do a little work, reading scripts or just quiet time work. Cause it's very, few and far between the time that I actually get like real quiet time. So I get that like 45 minutes in. And then fortunately, just before COVID happened, my wife and I, a girlfriend of ours, closed a Pilates studio, and she was selling off a whole bunch of her reformers. And we bought a reformer, we put it in our garage. So I go to the garage with my cup of coffee and I do Pilates in the morning time for about 30 minutes. And then
do you drink your coffee earlier when you're reading your scripts, or do you
juice, green juice? I have a green juice
first. And then Kate and I have been doing Pilates too. And we're actually getting a reformer because our friend has to close their Pilates studio too. We have to talk later more about Pilates, because Kate and I have been going now for over 6 weeks and we're blown away by it.
It's unreal. Like, I wish that I had Pilates in my life years and years ago. It's such a gift. Yoga and Pilates, those two alone, and you have to throw in a little bit of a cardio. I was listening to this guy, this health and wellness coach, for blanking on his name, but he was like, it's always good to, one of the top 5 ways to prolong your life. One of them was always make your body feel like you're running away from a bear. he's like, your mind, eat your greens, do stretch, make your cardiovascular high enough that you feel like you're running away from a bear. Cause he's like, you want to get your heart rate up so high at points in the day or a few times a week where and it's good for your heart. You're kind of expanding your lung capacity. You're expanding your, so fortunately we live on a really steep hill here, and I'll do my Pilates and I'll just like do a little jog up and down the hill. And it gets me to the point where I feel like I'm running away from a bear or some big animal. Obviously water, but to give you my morning breakdown is basically 5:30 in the morning. I break open a Little West green juice, and then I drink some water and I stay hydrated for about 45 minutes. Then I have a coffee, and in my coffee I put collagen peptides. I put 4-sigmatic mushroom blend. So I put like it's lion's mane. So it's basically a whole chaga reishi, a whole mixture of, it's 10 different mushrooms and cordyceps and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then some CBD. I put a little dose of CBD in there. And then I drink that coffee and go to the garage, do my Pilates for 30 minutes. And by that time, usually the kids are up, and then I'm with them for an hour and a half or so, 2 hours. We play outside. My son goes to Zoom. My 5-year-old goes to Zoom class, and then I put down our baby
for the first for nap number 1.
Nap number 1.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have been, Cassandra and she's definitely not a nanny person, and I'm probably a little bit more of a nanny person. But I've really enjoyed this time spending with Wolf, with our youngest, that I didn't get to spend with West, right, because our business was just so crazy at that time when he was Wolf's age.
When West was born, you shifted the name from Clover Juice to Little West, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't because of him just being born. It was actually, we went through a legal battle with Clover Dairy Farms in the West Coast. And after a year and a half of trademark attorney after trademark attorney, and then trying to figure out a name, that we could hold, that we could own. And it was just, I don't even want to get into the financial, setback that it also had on the business. But we were flying at Christmas time back to Montreal, and I just turned to Cassandra and I'm like, why don't we name the business West something, something West? And I just was like, why don't we just call it Little West? It's not pretentious. It's little. It's not Big West. It's not like, it's Little West, because we're a little West Coast juice bar, and right, West is our son. And we're, so it was, inspired by him and the West Coast, obviously the love for the West Coast that we have, and the produce, everything's local, everything's hyper local. So.
And just like me, your woman is like a big backbone to your businesses, right? Like Cassandra's been like just a force in this juice company, right? And like, cause you're obviously out, you don't shoot 20 movies without someone at home, like being like quite the woman. So tell me just a bit, like, honestly, and I get it, cause Kate's Australian, and our my fiance, your wife, they instantly loved each other. Like Kate's like, Cassandra is my person, Paul. Like, cause she shoots straight. She's not narcissistic. She's a powerful woman. And Kate really recognized like that. And Kate's been like always, like since we went and had dinner that night after that thing at Swingers, I think.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah, Swingers. Yeah.
We got home and Kate's like, Cassandra. So how do you guys figure it out? Like having 2 kids, you shooting, that's a lot of shooting, and also having a successful, because your business is doing really well, right? Like you've been able to kind of replace yourselves a bit, so you're not working as hard, or are you still crunching it?
Oh man, we're crunching it still, but just to go back to, Cassandra feels the same way about Kate. you have an unbelievable girl behind you. And yeah, we wouldn't be sitting here like this right now if we didn't have those women behind us, or in front of us or wherever they are right now, because like they are definite powerhouses. And, I think one thing is for certain that I realized in my life is I needed someone who is uber confident, was self-assured, confident. I wasn't going to coach anybody through that in my life. I'm not that type of person. So for me to find Cassandra and be the type of person that she is, her father would travel 2 months and be home for a month as she was growing up. So she was used to that, to her father being gone. And it was just something she grew up in, and her mom made it work with 3 girls living in Edmonton. Cassandra was born in Alberta. And so, yeah, she allows me, we joke that we each have to stay in our lane, because I'll come back from a job and I'll be like, did you call this person? Did that happen? And she's like, Andrew, stay in your lane.
I mean, she would have to be confident when you're out there winning like best kisser awards. Like, like you need a woman who really understands. That's another fan question. There's
that's another conversation.
What's it like for Andrew to be win an award from best kisser? You gotta love that. And do you have any tips? How do you be the best on-screen kisser? Which I would like to hear from you as well.
Hey, well, yeah. We'll go down that rabbit hole in a bit. But so Cassandra, she's an executor. I'm an idea person. She's an executor, and I think that really is what made our business relationship work, and our relationship work in a way where I'm not necessarily somebody who will answer my phone quickly or message people back. It's not because I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. I'm usually in my backyard just with a shovel and a hat and just like doing gardening. I'm usually in the garden, or I'm usually like on my hillside planting some sort of bush or something. I'm mowing the lawn. I'm outside. When I'm not working, I'm outside just getting my hands dirty and just, being, just kind of sprucing up the landscape. So for Cassandra, I will come in with these like flurries of ideas and be like, okay, I thought about this. All right, so we got to do this, we got to do that, whatever. And then she'll just, delineate it and just, make a list and just know where she has to execute what, when, where. And it just basically all happens. She just handles it. And it's unbelievable. And she handles it so beautifully. But I think Cassandra's number one asset as well in the business is that she's so adaptable. She's adaptable with any person, whether it's a high-end hotel, food and beverage person that we're trying to lock in, or like a chef from Swingers, or wherever else we're selling our juice, So I think she's so adaptable, and it really is a blessing, man, that we are able to work together and build the business together. But we're realizing that we do want out sooner rather than later. We can't just keep on the grind the way we were doing it back when we first started. And we definitely the business has taken a toll on our family, and we've made so many sacrifices, and we're willing to now just, find the right next owner or partner or whoever it is that's going to take us to the next level.
Right. So is that what's next for you then, is looking for a way to
exit,
because it seems to me like you love acting, obviously. And, I just want to jump back just a little bit. So did you, loving acting and becoming an actor, was there ever that part of you that was like aching for sports? Because you're a really high level skier, you're a real high level football player and athlete. And it's like, so how do you ever, like when you're on set for you, are you like, yeah, this is it. Like, I am batting for the fences, swinging to the fences. This is my sweet spot. Or and what I'm getting to is, if you weren't acting, is there anything else that you'd be doing?
No, I'm a real true Gemini.
Me too.
I know. What are you, the 29th or the
second?
You're the second.
Yeah.
I need to have 1,000 things going on at once.
That's stereotypical. I mean, I don't understand people that have one passion. I have like 30.
Me too. I have 30. I know like next week we'll have 30 more. And it's really just, I throw darts, things stick, whatever is the path of least resistance for me. I usually go, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I should be doing. That's it. This is what.
Mm-hmm.
So
same thing. Same idea. I knew there's such a similarity between us. Like, not just there's a feeling like when I first actually spent a little bit of time with you, it's just so easy. It's like being with myself in a way. Like it's really like fitness.
You're easier than being with myself. I'd rather talk to you than myself.
Right. You're I'm less competitive, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. That's what the ease factor is then. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I'm pretty competitive with myself, but, so there's nothing like, if you could choose one thing, like you wouldn't be, I don't see too many other careers and I'm like, I want to do that. I'm just like, I kind of dig the way things are flowing. Is that similar for you?
Yeah. 100%. Acting is the backbone of who I am as a, it's also my business. It's what, keeps me stimulated and happy. I love being on set. I crave being on set.
Yeah.
I crave skiing, but I'm not going to be making any money skiing, but I don't crave necessarily the juice business or selling. I really enjoy the selling aspect of our business. Like, I do love going to a hotel with Cassandra and meeting the chef and the head of food and beverage and the GM and sitting down and talking to them about our product and meeting. It's more about meeting people. I love people. But I don't look at anything else and say, I want to do that. Acting is the through line of what keeps everything kind of like together in a way in my life. And then everything else, I just want to continue doing. I want to experience so much. I want to travel a lot too. I have that in my head. Like, I really, once the kids get to a certain age, we're not going to be those people that are going to be like, oh, we're going to leave the kids at home. I want to really travel with my boys and experience things with my boys and my wife. But I right now, I need a vacation without my kids now. But
I tried to take you to Jamaica, man. Like,
I know.
Andrew and I almost had and Cassandra and Kate had a chance to go to Jamaica together and just didn't fully come together the way we were hoping. But you would have gotten a lot out of it. It was a nice reset. It was a nice reset. We hadn't tried.
I know. You guys looked like you had an incredible time, man.
Yeah, we did. We had been, I'd been away for When Calls a Heart for 5.5 months, and then before, we hadn't traveled at all. Nobody really is traveling, and so it would have been fun to have you there.
I know.
You what?
We would have loved being there. Honestly, just timing just didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't work out for us.
The thing about our jobs is you could live pretty much anywhere nowadays. I mean, you being in LA, and we're always entertaining these thoughts of going somewhere else because it's like now everything's on video, and we could live in the south of France and like send in tapes, and it'd be a long flight to go to to go to set.
A test or something. Yeah,
I guess. But now we're testing on Zoom too. So
yeah.
It's kind of a interesting world. Speaking of COVID, is there something that you've been doing that, we started getting to your fitness thing and then we got sidetracked a little bit, but is there anything you're specifically doing to protect yourself and making sure, like with your immune system or even you're mentally strong? Because a lot of people watching, if you just turned on the news, you would be just mortified and terrified that the world is literally ending. So I personally don't listen to the news because it's just, I don't like that level of cortisol going through my body. And it just seems like it's
you and me both.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what news you turn on. It seems like it's either politically driven or pharmaceutical driven. It doesn't nothing seems like trustworthy to me. So I decide to read other books and inform myself of ways to protect myself. Is there anything that you guys as a family have?
Well, look, man, I think that good health is an accumulation of little acts that you do on a daily, moment to moment basis throughout. It's not just like you flip a switch and tomorrow you're going to wake up healthy. I think that so we've been living a life that hopefully when something like this hits, we're going to be the people that are going to be resilient to this, hopefully as much as possible, but, so I think that we got COVID, both Cassandra and I, we got it back in March of last year. And we know we got it because we went to our friend's health and wellness center here. It's called Next Health. And they do the antibody testing. So we went in for antibody testing, and then we found out that we had it, when we had it, if we still had it in our system. We got it specifically because we got the antibody testing as well, because we were, I was going to the office sending out juice to people. I had a whole bunch of juice deliveries that were going out. I'm like, I'm not going to go around any juice, any product, any office at all right now until I know if I had this, So I went to go get tested. Lo and behold, I still had it in my system. I still had the virus. And so I stayed at the house for a little longer and just kind of, just quarantined for 2 weeks with Cassandra and myself and the kids. And our niece was living with us at that time as well. But to ward off, I would say what we've done just to adapt a little bit more now. Look, how I've been living for the past 3 years is I do a little bit of a intermittent fast where I drink liquids up until around noon. So if people don't know what that is, it's basically, you don't eat for 16 hours and you eat for an 8-hour period. You can do it different ways though. You can not eat for a few days and then eat normally for a few days. The way that it works for me is, and I feel my optimal at my optimal health is I basically just stop eating around 8 o'clock at night. And I start eating again around noon. I drink a bunch of liquids, which you're not even really supposed to. A real intermittent fast, you don't put anything in your body except for water. Right. But I still want to live a life. I'm not someone who's so, dead set on, I'm not strict. I do give myself a lot of outs. I drink wine 4 nights a week, 1.5 glasses a night, or, if it was up to Cassandra, we'd be drinking 1.5 glasses every single night of the week.
Yeah, but Kate too, that's kind of our thing. We discovered this great bottle shop called Bar and Garden in Culver City, and they send us biodynamic organic wine. And so that's all we drink. We drink biodynamic organic wines. The biodynamic stuff has been incredible. You don't get that sulfate flush.
The sulfates.
Yep.
And it's the same
almost
price.
Every meal in the evening.
That's what we do too. That's what we do too, basically. So I've just upped my zinc. I've upped my vitamin D. I put vitamin D more than I ever have. And I read recently, which I was kind of adding too much, I guess, vitamin D, but you're not supposed to. You just take the dosage that is set on the bottle or your pills, or however you're taking your vitamin D. You don't want to put too much vitamin D in your body. And I drink tons of water in the day, but I'm not I don't overdo 1 glass. I just try to stay hydrated throughout the day. So I'm probably drinking, a couple liters in a day. And I've cut back a lot on any kind of dairy. I don't eat, I eat some cheese on the weekends here and there. If there's a cheese board out, I'll dig into it. I'm not going to be, again, just living in moderation. I'm not going to stop myself from just having a cheese board. but really it's just, it's a lot of, so to go back to it is don't eat until noon. I have my salad. I have a salad with a lot of pistachios. I love like the crunch, and we do a vinaigrette and some avocado. And sometimes we'll put like, if we have some leftover fish or whatever it is on top of the salad, some grains and whatnot. And then I'll eat dinner. I'll snack a little bit between dinner, but then I'll eat dinner. And then I drink a lot more. I'll have another juice maybe in the mid-afternoon. Yep. And some fruits and veggies, whatever, but weekends. And then I have my glass of wine at night, with my dinner, with the kids. And as a parent with two kids, our kids' age, I need a glass of wine at the end of the night.
Yeah. Sure. It sounds like you're like a Gemini, where you bring a lot of fun to it. Like, it has to be fun. Like, and there has to be some zig to the zag. I mean, if there's a cheese board,
100%,
I'm going to have a glass of wine with that cheese board. And until I met Kate, I never really had wine. Like, Aussies, they have alcohol as such a part of their culture. She goes back there and they're at a party and she's like, I don't really drink much. And they're like, what? Because she was hanging around me. And she's like they're drinking vodka for breakfast. And
oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, Paul, you hit the nail on the head, man. Like, if you're not having fun, I'm a heavy believer in guilty eating as well. If you're eating, you're letting off, and you're eating negatively, and you're letting off these negative endorphins in your body. Basically, if you're saying, oh man, I should be eating this right now. Like, I finished off a pint of ice cream the other night, which I haven't done in a long time. I woke up with I didn't have any wine that night either. I just I had this.
Was it it was coconut ice cream though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was coconut ice cream.
Yeah, right.
It was coconut ice cream. Yeah, it was. The brand is called Coconut Cult, and they're incredible. They do yogurts, and you can order it online. I think anywhere across the country.
I'm looking for a good alternative to ice cream.
It's it's pretty expensive for the pint, but let me tell you, it's ground up coconut meat, like Thai coconut meat, blended, and then they add the whatever flavor you got. So we got like this double fudge, I got a matcha and a cookie dough one. Yeah. It's super creamy, flavorful, delicious. Wow. You don't even know. That's the thing about eating healthy nowadays. If you find the right alternative to whatever it is that you were eating normally, sure, you don't even taste the difference.
That's true. It's a bit more expensive, but it's not more expensive than the hospital bill you'll get when you prevention. It might be a bit expensive, but it's a lot cheaper than a lifelong chronic illness from eating processed, mineral deficient, hydrogenated, packaged crap, right? Like,
absolutely.
People really do get upset because, not upset, but one major excuse is the price of, say, organic food or a Little West juice or something.
Yeah.
But when you they'll spend that on the seventh pair of shoes that are exactly the same, but they won't spend it on their health. And
I'll tell you what, Paul, I don't eat differently. Cassandra and I don't eat differently now than we did. Yeah. There's a couple more things, like we have a juice company now, so we're able to drink juice on a more regular basis, but we don't eat, the core of our meals aren't different now compared to what they were when we were buying all of our ingredients from the dollar store. Cassandra and I, when we were not financially in a good place, we moved back to LA. I did that skinhead movie, and we were going to the dollar stores, and we were buying, or we would go to the farmer's market, or we were finding alternatives. If you really want to eat healthy, but you don't want to spend the money on going to Whole Foods necessarily, or going to these bigger box, health food stores, you can find ingredients and produce in alternative ways and places. You don't have to try to eat organic as much as possible, but really there is that thing where, you can eat avocados that aren't organic. You can eat bananas. You can eat things that have skins you can pull off, but even then, just balance it. And even if you don't eat organic necessarily, you can't afford the organic lettuce, have a salad for lunch with some other good ingredients. You don't have to have the organic necessarily, but just, it's a car, it's a burning, it's a what you're burning, what you put inside of your body, and you're going to feel it. It's going to come out in ways, whether it be depression or soreness or achiness or inflammation or whatever it is. So I think that money aside, there are ways that you can have a good diet and stay within the budget.
I agree.
You just got to work a little harder at it.
You answered my question. I was going to ask you what's some good health advice, because to you and I, who have been around fitness and nutrition, and we have a bit of a, an understanding of what eating healthy is. But like, if you were to explain to a stranger, like, and you didn't know them and they're like, how do you eat healthy? Like, what would you tell them?
I'd go back to saying, like, the accumulation of little things throughout your day are really are going to impact you down. If you look 3 months down the road or 6 months down the road, and, you always want to try to think of, like, you're preparing to ward off that one thing that might come your way, in the future, or just like keeping whatever it is at bay, whether you have preconditioned things or, pre-existing things in your body, from that's hereditary. I have heart disease in my family. I have, Alzheimer's and dementia in my family. I have, there's things that I'm aware of that I need to do in order to keep these things at bay. And, hopefully I'm doing them, but, I basically, there's so many little things, like, I put apple cider vinegar in my water all the time throughout the day. I just do like a little tiny dose of that. And that's actually helped me a lot with acidity, feeling acid reflux, or just digesting food.
That's a really good, simple thing that everybody can add to their diet, and it will make their digestive enzymes work better. It'll stop acid reflux, and it's a very cheap hack, and just get some organic with the mother in it and add a little bit to your water. And even after a big meal, I'll have apple cider vinegar, and it just helps the digestion. It's amazing.
Yeah. Keep fibers away from you as much as possible throughout the morning time, especially. I do eat, I'll have a piece of toast, whatever, or avocado toast for lunch with a salad, or I'm not like 100% against bread or grains or anything, but I do think that cereals was a product for manufacturers to make money on their waste. Cereals were brought to us by like General Mills and Kellogg's and all this stuff, because they had a whole bunch of these, like, they had waste, but they were like, well, what do we do with this waste in our factories? Well, we'll just cinnamon and sugar, we'll bake it, cinnamon sugar, we'll put it in a box, we'll call it cereal. So like cereals are, they're okay. Give it to your kids every once in a while. And there's much healthier alternatives now out there for cereals. We get some stuff at Trader Joe's and whatnot that you can give your kids. But I think for adults, just staying away from that type of thing in the morning time, especially because it makes for all kinds of like gut, unhealthy gut, bacteria and whatnot, so I think just, having a lighter morning and then easing your way into a heavier-ish lunch midday and then easing off is kind of the way that I kind of look at my diet in a way. And I'm no health guru by any means. I'm just somebody who pays attention to how my body feels. And I think now more so than ever, even back in my football days, I was so unhealthy. I'd go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and get like polish off a bucket with a buddy of mine, another football buddy of mine. And just, it was like protein, fat, and just eat. But my clarity and in my focus, my energy levels, I wanted to nap a lot more. I felt a fog. If I really think about my later adolescent years, my teenage years, I wasn't at all as healthy as what I am now. Like I feel like my energy levels, and I'm an energy junkie. That's how I base it off of. That's how I base my diet. I'm an energy junkie. If I feel optimum energy in my day, I'm like, okay, I'm doing, what did I do yesterday? Okay, I'm gonna do that again today. Okay, what did I do? And then, whatever. Then you fall off the rails. It doesn't matter. Have like, 6 cocktails on a Friday night every once in a while. And that's okay then, because you've already done all the work and you have a system and you have a formula and you have like, you're just like everything's kind of like going for you, everything's kind of, moving in the right direction. And then you can just fall off the rails every once in a while and not be guilty about it.
Right. It's the little incremental things like what you were saying before. It's that consistency that over time, then you're allowed to have a little fun because you're daily making those choices that are moving you towards, the direction that you really want to go with your body, with your family and your fitness.
That's it. And having fun while you do it, because you definitely want to have a good time. Like you want to have a good time. I'm a foodie. I don't want to be like, oh, do I have to eat this again? This like rabbit food or whatever, it's just, I want to find ways that I can be excited about every meal.
We're so similar in that way, man. It like has to be fun or F it. And that comes down to like acting choices for me too. It's like, and when I'm preparing for something, if I'm creating something for the character, if it's not fun, it's like, forget about it. I'm not going to do it. Like I have to enjoy my experience.
Sorry, Cassandra peeped her head in here. Cass, bring Wolf, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Cass.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm just going to go get little Westy.
Oh, would you please? You just missed us bragging about how awesome our women were.
Well, I just commented on your Instagram post and I was like, because you're like, ask questions for our podcast. And I said, yeah. How are our husband's so damn handsome.
Oh,
so that's your question.
That's a hard-hitting question right there.
But I love you guys. I'll see you later. Mwah.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, we got to hang out with Kate soon. She's so excited to spend some time.
Oh, same here. Here. Yeah, we miss seeing you guys. So you got the baby, okay? I'm on baby duty.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on baby duty.
Oh, are you? Okay. Well, I want to wrap this up, but can we go to a couple fan questions? Like you're
let's do it.
Is baby sleeping or do you have to go or what?
No. He's still like, he's going to be down for another 10, 15 minutes or so.
Okay. So you're on baby duty like that. You pay attention to what's coming.
I just one ear to the wall.
I want to get through a couple of these fan questions just to wrap this up.
Man.
It's this one. Can you name all the movies you were in, like rapid fire?
Oh my God.
Name as many as you can of the Hallmark ones.
Ride for Christmas, Love Struck Cafe. Oh my God. Sweet Autumn.
Sweet Autumn.
Christmas on my mind.
The Jack Wagner one.
Wedding March 4.
That's 5.
I was on When Calls the Heart, 2 episodes.
Okay.
Well, that's not really a movie.
We're at 5. We're trying to get to 20 movies here.
Why am I blanking on everything? Jeez,
I'll ask you an easier question. Who's your favorite co-star?
Yeah, this is a good one. This is a good one.
Do you have a favorite?
I would say, I hate saying favorite. Bethany Joy Lenz is someone that I really respond to as an artist. I think that she really challenges me and brings out a performance in me that I need, that I really long for in working on these movies. Nikki DeLoach is somebody that I really love working with as well. I get we're grinders. Like we get into it. We're like, we just want to really make it work. But Joy is more just like this something, I don't know what it is, but she just, it's just something, she brings something out in me creatively that, that I respond to. But I would say between her and Nikki's and I have a very similar way of tackling a script together. So I appreciate what she brings to to the roles that she plays with me, and wants to like really elevate the material in general, you know, her like, and I think that's the thing about these movies that we do is that like, we want to elevate every single script and movie that we take on for Hallmark and try to make it the best it could possibly be. Because some of the times they're giving writers a chance as well, you know, and I think that I've been caught in these moments every once in a while where I'm like, I work my tail off at trying to make the script be elevated a little bit more. And it's a lot different from what I started with.
Totally. I mean, that's our job. That's our job, right? Is to make the words jump off the page and tell these stories and bring as much of our heart to it. And it's like, but there's times that you get scripts where in first draft, second draft, where you're like, how am I going to, like, what is going on? And then they always pull them together and they're always great. But it's like I knew you would have, I'm sure you had the similar experience where sometimes you get a script and you're like, I kind of get the story, but then it does evolve as you get closer to filming. And
yeah.
Okay. So here's the next fan question. This is from Lori Hickson. What other projects have you done? We went over that. And the movie you're most proud of is not, we're going to call it the Skinhead one, but it's called
Steel Toes.
Steel Toes. And that's easily the one you're most proud of.
I'd see the character is something like I've outside of anything I've ever played before. You know, it's the most out of mind and body role that I've ever taken on. So I would say definitely I'm the most proud of that. I'm very proud of my Hallmark movies too, like all of them, because I think that people would look at it and go, oh, it's easy. It's like, you know, it's kind of an off the cuff way of acting, but you have to be very, I mean, how present you have to be with your partner. And also like, there's more, I don't want to say judgment, or there's a lot more stakes when you're closer to who you are as a person than if you're playing this like completely off the wall character, you know? And that's, I played versions of myself in these Hallmark movies, you know? So
yeah. Awesome. Okay. Next one. Tracy Spalding said, what does it feel like to be the best kisser? And do you care to share a technique? I'm glad we're coming back to this one. So
I thought we forgot about this question.
No, we're not going to forget about it. And this came through the Deck the Hallmark, right? Through those guys.
Yeah.
Through Bran and them, you won the award. I was actually in Jamaica because I did a little song for their podcast in the middle of it.
Okay.
It came on. And so what's your technique? How do you win Best Kisser on a Hallmark movie?
Hey man, if we're playing tennis, you throw a ball, you hit a ball at me, I'm gonna hit it back at you. And that's the way it goes. I am an ever present person that is just, I'm all about connection. And I go in and I'm a committer. That's really what it comes down to. I think like
it's true.
There's
zero too far. You struck
there's 0 to 100
though.
What's that? It's 0 to 100 with me in anything I do. There's no in between gear. And so like, I just go from first to sixth and that's how I do it. And it's, I guess it's where it's paid off in a way.
Well, congrats on the award. It's not easy in a Hallmark to do it because you don't want to go too far and you want to stay, respectful to the genre, but you also want to be giving it your whole heart. And, I saw The Kiss. I think you did a good job of bringing, your everything to it.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a time when a producer came over to me and showed me playback on her phone of what the first kiss looked like. And she's like, would you say this is Hallmark appropriate? And I'm like, I didn't even know I did that. I didn't even know
with that tongue
happened.
or something. Was it just too much?
No tongue. I never do tongue. It was just was just like a little longer and more open mouthed, but there was never every time.
No.
What's that?
No, you don't, and you were, it was like a wanting kiss. It was like a lot to it.
A lot to it.
But
yeah.
no tongue. No. And people watching it think that it's comfortable, but it's like there's 20 people watching you, and it's very rarely is it like, oh, that was a good kiss. It's usually so technical.
So technical. Oh yeah.
For it to look real and win an award is saying something, man.
Well, thank you to whoever voted for that. I appreciate it.
I'm sure they'll be watching this, and some people are going to be really disappointed there's no tongue. I'll tell you that. So Gino,
with you, Paul, always tongue. Always tongue.
Yes.
Always,
Andrew.
Always.
We do have to do a movie together. There'll be no kissing, but we do have to do a movie.
I know. We joked about it, but that would be amazing. You, myself, and Daniel, we do like a 3 Men and a Baby or something.
I know.
You know, I'll throw Wolf in there.
Yeah, and that's another fan question. They're like, "What? It's a family thing. How great would it be to work with your kids? And would you ever consider working with your kids?" So that's a yes, then, right? For sure.
100%. Yeah, I'd love to work with my kids.
Yeah.
I don't know if I push necessarily. I actually do think West would be a great actor. He's a performer through and throughout. But I would never push the industry on them. I would never push anything on them. But just, if you want to take it up, I'd love to have them in a movie.
I know. Then you don't have to be away from them too.
Yeah, exactly. Win-win.
What's your favorite part, Andrew, of being a dad? This is not a fan question. This is a dad question.
What it teaches me in tolerance, patience, and it's completely flipped everything on its head for me in the way that I approach situations. I was a bit of an aggressive kid, obviously playing football and working out the way I worked out, and I boxed, and I did a lot of aggressive sport, rugby and all this stuff. But so for me, it was immediate meet aggression with aggression. Now it's meet frustration from, our 5-year-old with, compassion and patience and going within myself and breathing and just learning how to be, compassion. I guess compassion is the greatest thing that I appreciate about being a dad.
Right. And the Pilates and the yoga is probably like disciplines that help, nurture that patience and compassion and understanding, different than boxing and football, for sure. I do miss being in the hot room though, man. Yoga, hot room. I remember you asked that question at the beginning of the interview there or the podcast there that, if that's what I do to keep myself in shape. But if I had the choice, I'd be in a hot yoga room all the time. I love being in a hot yoga room. Because there's stress. The yoga is a stress it puts on your body in general, but then you add the heat element, and there's another layer of stress that humbles you and makes just kind of forces you to work through it in a compassionate, patient way. Because you go back to the breathing. It's not a race. You're not like hyperventilating in there. You have to keep that steady rhythm of breathing, which if you were able to do that in stressful situations in life, then you're winning, No, for sure. And yeah, man, I love that you're doing Pilates like that. I can't wait to kind of find out what exactly what you're doing, because as we get older too, it's so nice to shift into things that promote longevity, not like make your life more painful, which is like certain basketball. Cause don't you play on the basketball team weren't you a basketball player too? No, I was never a basketball player, but I did play basketball for the Hollywood Knights, it was called. And we would travel to different schools and stuff, but I rode the bench basically. And the last time I played basketball was 6 years ago in Las Vegas at a friend of ours' house.
about 2 weeks before Cassandra gave birth to West, and I tore my Achilles tendon. And it was just a fun one-on-one game, just like
dude,
off the cuff, kind of like, hey man, let's hit the indoor court. And me being my competitive self, I was down 8 points, and I just started turning it on, and I drove the net, and my Achilles popped.
Oh, dude. Well, now that another reason to do Pilates and yoga.
Yeah.
You'll prevent that happening again.
Exactly.
Dawn Joyce is wondering about your singing, and I didn't even know that you were a singer, but Dawn Joyce is asking that are you a singer?
I wouldn't consider myself a singer necessarily. If I'm met with the challenge of singing a song, I'll sing it. I used to sing in a band from 14 to 18 years old. A rock band, and we kind of like started touring different college campuses in Eastern Canada, like Bishops. We played a show at Bishops. We played a show at Concordia, McGill, and so I was I sang in elementary school choir, and that kind of gave me the confidence to sing in the band. But I haven't sung, and I was watching yours and Daniel's podcast the other day. If you don't train that muscle, it just kind of goes, and I have something that just came up that I'm supposed to be singing for again. So I feel like I need to maybe call that vocal coach there that you had.
He's amazing. Mark Goodman. He's helped me so much. I see him twice a week on Zoom, and it's like, it's a reasonable price. It's 30 minutes. So it works with kids' schedule. And it's just, it's really great exercise. You'll love, it's training. It's not like it's, yay, I get to do vocalizing, but the effects will be right there. Well, I really want to respect your time. Do you have time for one more question?
I do. Actually, Cassandra took the baby, so we're good.
Oh, really?
She took the baby to go pick up West at school. So.
Are you sure? Okay, good.
Oh yeah, man.
Good.
No
okay.
sweat.
All right, good. I think what I love about this is my son just messaged me. I think he wants to play volleyball. So we'll wrap this up in like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, no worries.
Caroline Hedge is wondering what it felt like when Dan got the role of Jacko in Calls of Heart. Like, were you disappointed? Were you pretty stoked about that? Like, how, the Hearties, you were in When Calls of Heart for a couple episodes, and the Hearties are a movement and a half. There's a large amount of them around the world, and they're very focused and they're very supportive. Like, they'll turn out to your movies just because you were on When Calls the Heart, and they'll help your movie do better. And they're also just amazing people who I've got to know quite well through being on the show and playing Dr. Shepard. But what was that like for you? What were you really wanting to get that role, or were you like?
Yeah, look, you get so used to denial as an actor that to me, it was another role. But, anytime you get that far in the process, you hope that you're going to get the role. And so I was so far along in the process. And I really thought that I was going to get it, to be honest. I played a Mountie in a movie called The Way of the West. And it was a much grittier. I played a Mountie who had an opium addiction, and I was put in prison, and I get out, and I get appointed the northern part of Yukon to police. Basically, it was this. There's a very famous Mountie named Sam Steele out of Canada, who was the one that he policed Dawson City during the gold rush. He was like the one sheriff in Dawson City during the gold rush. And he built his police force during that time, and everything. It was every man for himself at that time. So he garnered this respect. And that was basically, the movie was during his time. And so I just gotten off this project playing a Mountie. And so when I got the audition for When Calls the Heart, I was like, man, this might pan out for me. So when I didn't get it, it was a little heartbreaking, but I also really wanted to work with Erin. We tested together, and I love her. She's such a sweetheart. And so, yeah, I would have been able to work with you and everybody. But anyways, so what was really sweet is Brian Bird, he ended up telling me, he said, look, we're going to get you on the show. Don't worry about it, Andrew. And then so they offered me the part of Billy, and I came on, and Billy was a little bit of a setback for me, I think, in some of my Hallmark movies, because people now forever refer to me as the skunk. So,
right, with a mustache, you got to have a mustache, and it's like, I think you ruined my chances of Carson ever getting a mustache on that show.
Yeah, I think I kind of buried the mustache bit for.
They're asking you to have like you come back as your twin brother or something, like, which is they'll do anything. So they'll love to have you back. So I don't know if you.
Well, that's been talks for a while. I'm down. I would love
the good brother.
When you hop on set.
What's that?
Talk to Brian. When you hop on set, go be a little birdie in Brad and Brian's ear.
Yeah, and say like we got to get the good twin to come back and and come on When Calls a Heart. Now the Hearties are a phenomenal force. I'm sure they come out to a lot of your movies. That's the majority of the majority of questions and comments are people are like, I love everything. I'm just reading them here. I love every movie that he's in, and they show up to every one of them. Very loyal fan base. And this is from Sarah Beth. What is your biggest challenge in balancing your work and family life?
Honoring time in both. I find that, as I get older, I'm getting better at it, but I am somebody who doesn't necessarily, I commit to a lot of things, and I might not do that one thing to its fullest. And I think that like honoring the time when I'm working, I honor my time working. When I'm with my family, I honor my time when I'm working with my family. And just honoring the time in those endeavors, when I'm doing something, committing to that one thing.
Mm-hmm. So what's next for you, bud? Like what are you creating next? Do you have any movies coming out? And like, do you have any, I know anything, there's people asking also about like where they can get Little West juice.
Oh yeah, guys. Yeah. Well, littlewest.com is where you can get Little West juice if you don't live anywhere.
Cause you're sending it, right? Like you're able to, through COVID, you're able to send packages to people. Is that right?
We package it. It comes in an ice pack, in a box. Every shipment that goes out, we offset the carbon emissions by planting trees with Eco Drive. It's called, is the charity that we align with, and also actually on all of our bottles, it's in small, but you'll see it on our bottles on the side here. We also work with a company called Big Greene Learning Gardens, which we teach kids about the importance of planting and eating real food around Los Angeles here. So we donate to both those charities. Trees are a big thing for me. I'm a big tree guy. I'm a big forest guy. And so, that was a big one that we wanted to align ourselves with. And so, yeah, you can order from littlewest.com. Or if you're living anywhere in the Pacific, South Pacific, anywhere, Arizona, Nevada, and Southern California, we're at all the Whole Foods, at all those.
That's amazing, man. Congratulations. You're in Whole Foods.
Thanks, man. Yeah. We just got in during the pandemic, actually, just like right before the holidays happened good. Beginning of December, late November. So it was a good turn of events for us after a tough year.
No kidding. And to be connected to Amazon, I guess, in that way doesn't hurt.
Yeah. No, it's really helped a lot.
Stacy Hollis is asking what your favorite flavor is. Hers is Quench and Golden Greens. This is from my VIP group on Facebook.
Oh, great. Yeah, my favorite flavor is our Go Big.
What's in the Go Big?
It's apple, beets first, beets, kale, which is interesting because our Go Big has same weight beets to kale. So when you think of how much beets weigh compared to kale, we put a ton of kale in there because we really want to like sneak the kale in there as much as possible. So we get beets, kale, apple, carrots, ginger, lemon. We put a ton of ginger in there, and we add 1 ounce shot of wheatgrass as well in that one. So it's really the most complete juice that we have, I'd say, for everything, for greens, and also for your liver, kidneys. With the beets, the purple juice is always good for the kidneys and liver to flush out the system. But I also love the quench.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially if I'm mixing with tequila.
You mix it with tequila?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The quench is great with ginger snap, is great with bourbon.
Oh,
and also vodka. It makes a healthy Moscow Mule. And the quench is great with tequila. I mean, of course, vodka goes with vodka. But we originally made the golden greens for tequila as well. So next time you can mix it with tequila.
There's the balance, right? You're getting rid of toxins as you're putting a little bit in. I mean, I guess
that's it. And it's so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
And is your celery juice your biggest seller? Because, there's the Anthony, there's the medical medium, and you guys have one of my fans went on the VIP group was asking about when are you going into Canada? They're asking about Canada.
So we are in the midst of working out a deal with a company right now, an acquisition actually right now. And I can't say anything more than that, but that would get us into Canada. We would we'd align ourselves with a production company in Canada, and we would be distributing in Canada in the next, I would say 6 months. We'd be up in Canada.
Awesome. Okay. That was her question about, and is celery juice a big mover for you guys?
Celery's decent mover. We're really close with the owners of Health Aid Kombucha, and they're like, one of the biggest health aid, kombucha brands in the country, if not the world now. And they always say that your best sellers are your best sellers because you make them your best sellers. So we make our best sellers because there are our top 6 flavors. And what was great about finding those top 6 flavors is in our stores where the customers won't lie. They'll be attracted to whatever juice that they want to drink first or drink the most. It was always the clover, which is our number 1 seller, and the Go Big was up there, but Quench is also up there in the top 3. But it was always those 3 that were always our top sellers. But we make those now our top sellers. Like we always lead with our clover juice because it's the most approachable green juice. It's like green juice for people that are starting out drinking green juice, and green juice for people that actually are hardcore green juice drinkers as well.
I just love that you're putting stuff out there, man, that actually can help people and keep them healthy. And it's, and especially during a time like this, keeping people's immune system boosted. It's awesome. And it tastes great. Your juice tastes great.
Thank you. It feels good. It's, it feels good making a product like that. Honestly, we love hearing people's transformation stories because of just drinking our juice.
Mm. Yeah. That'd be amazing. Well, listen, Debbie Greer says that she wants to know what's which one of your movies is your favorite. And then for her, it was Bride for Christmas. And then there's another question. What actress would you like to work with that you haven't yet?
Long list. Yeah.
There's a long list. We're so lucky. We have so many great, Hallmark's really given us a cool opportunity to work with so many great
females, strong, and that's the thing they want too, right? Is they want strong females in these roles that, and look, you and I are both married to them, so it's
we are,
yeah,
we are, yeah.
So I know them, we know them well, but no, I appreciate. Thank you, Debbie, for saying Bride for Christmas, and I would like to. Oof, man, I'd like to work with Autumn Reeser. Would be fun to work with. I think, I've been I've been looking to work with, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on her name right now? She lives in Tennessee. She lives in Nashville. Oh my gosh.
Jill Wagner.
Jill Wagner. I'd love to work with Jill.
I got your back, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. Jill. I'd love to work with Jill. I'd love to work with Erin Cahill as well, because we're friends. And
me too. She's on top of my list too.
Yeah. She's such a sweetheart. We worked together 10 years ago on a TV series in Berlin. So I'd love to work with her again. There's so many girls that I want to work with. I want to work with them all. I want to work with every single one of them, you know? Yeah, those are probably, up there my tops right now.
Similar for me. Jill Wagner is up there for me, and Erin Cahill. I just think she's so funny. I love her husband too. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Paul, have you met Paul?
I haven't met Paul. No.
He's great. You're gonna.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, man. Well, it's been amazing speaking with you. I've wanted to know a lot. I wanted to know a little bit more about you, and I know the fans. It's so great that, how most interviews are like 7 minutes, and you're just like, how do you, and if you're like me, you're a Gemini, it's like, it takes time to express yourself and really get to the heart of like what makes Andrew,
Yeah. No, I really appreciate you taking the time with this, man. And also like having, picking me to spend this time with you right now. And
yeah.
You could be talking to a lot of people. I also want to congratulate you on the podcast. Like, this is incredible what you've been doing and giving people this opportunity to know more about yourself as well, and to know more about the people that you're interviewing. And I hear that, you're number 2, like 214 in the country or something like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It was a nice start, and that just goes to saying how loyal our fans are too. So, we share with our social media base, and they, they like it, and then they review it and give it 5 stars, and that does something in the algorithm. So yeah, I reached number 213 or something last week, something like 5,000 downloads in 5 days or something with the conversation with Dan. So I know you're competitive. So this one, I'll let you know. I'm going to be like, okay, I'll let you know how many downloads we get. And
all right, man. Yeah.
But is there, where can people find you? I know you said littlewest.com for the juice, but like you personally, you're AWalk?
Yeah, so it's AWalk with 2 Ks 35 for Instagram. I have a Facebook fan page that's run by an amazing woman named Debbie. And I'm on that on a regular basis. I pop in and send videos, and so that's the Andrew Walker official fan page. And also Twitter, which I'm not as active as what I probably should be on Twitter, but I do check in every once in a while and send some messages out there into the Twitter world. But that's AWalk with 1 K 35. So I should probably streamline everything at one point.
Yeah, just get Andrew Walker official like everywhere.
Just Andrew Walker official everywhere. It should probably be my go-to, but I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. Well, and so that's where you can find me. And I just, I feel so fortunate that the fans even care honestly about what I have to say and what I'm doing. Yeah. What I'm doing and stuff. It's just always so surreal that we're just, we're living in this world where people are tuning in and listening to us. And so I just want to give it, put it back on them and say thank you, because I'm learning as I go through this, this process as well. And I love people messaging me and asking me questions. Never stop asking me questions, because I might not get to you for a little while, but I love getting the questions, because it allows me to understand who I am, a little bit more, and how I'm going to respond to those people. And just, it's amazing.
Well, I've learned a lot talking with you, and one of my big takeaways is how important it is to do the incremental, consistent bite-sized things every day that really add up over time. And I learned about you. I didn't realize that you like to spend so much time in the garden and outside. Like you're getting all your vitamin D right there, man. Like,
oh yeah, man. Oh yeah.
Is there anything that else you wanted to share before we say goodbye?
No, I think we've covered a lot here. I just want to say thank you to all the people that are tuning in.
When's your next Hallmark movie airing, or your next project airing?
I know I have movies coming up, so that's nice, but I don't know when they are. And I'm also actively trying to get a few produced and made as well. And I have a few projects up my sleeve as well that I know I'm getting off the ground. I have some development stuff that I'm doing real estate wise and some other things, and just keeping active. Yeah. Projects around the house, building things, and as well. So.
Yeah, and then hanging out with your kids like that. Well, we got to get 3 Men and a Baby on the production list here with you, Dan, and I. We got to get something going. We're
gonna get something going. Yeah,
that'd be something that we could really create, and I know it would be really fun to get.
Oh yeah,
to do that. Well, thank you, man. Go follow
Thank you.
Andrew, and check out all Andrew's amazing films that are out now, but also check out his IMDb page and give that IMDb some love, because that helps our ranking there too. But then you can see the other projects that Andrew's been in. And yeah, man, thanks for your time. It's really cool that really good to get to actually know you a little bit better.
Thank you, Paul. You too, man. You too. It's been awesome. I'm so happy we got this time together right now.
I know. Well, we'll get together with the ladies here really soon. And I know that what I love about you is that you are very grateful to your fans and you don't take them for granted.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
That's why we're here doing what we do. Honestly, it's for them, and
it's true.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
You got it.
Thank you too, Paul. Appreciate it, man. Lots of love, bro.
Lots of love. Bye. Awesome. You're good, man. You can just keep it on. I'll just stop the recording. And it wasn't recording. What? Man, you can just keep it on. I'll just stop the recording. And it wasn't recording. What?